I saw Barbie yesterday. They asked me to see Barbie. The Daily Wire asked me to see Barbie because Ben talked about it, and Ben's very harsh critique of Barbie made national news. And so before the Backstage show last night, which is where I gave most of my view on Barbie, I won't belabor it too much now, they said, okay, see it and see if you agree with Ben or if you disagree with Ben, because it's probably going to come up on the show. I said, okay, meet sweet little Elisa. We go watch the movie. I intentionally did not watch or read any reviews before the movie. I saw that Ben hated it. So I saw the little clip of him throwing the Barbies and setting them on fire in the trash can. I saw that some other people hated it, and I saw that some other people liked it. And I noticed, without reading any reviews or watching any reviews, I saw that some people and some social media accounts that I really like and admire liked Barbie. One of my favorite all-time Twitter accounts, Edmund Smirk, Eudaimonia, very, very sharp fella. Eudaimonia's girlfriend, Shoe on Head, who's a leftist, but she has interesting takes. I noticed they all kind of liked it. I noticed that my friend Brett Cooper here liked it. But then a number of my other buddies on the right, up to and including Ben Shapiro, they hated Barbie. So I wanted to go in with a totally fresh slate, not colored by anyone else's views. Hadn't even really, maybe I watched the trailer. I don't even really remember watching the trailer. And I go in. It's great. It's great. I was primed to like it because, one, it's always fun to disagree with Ben, but sometimes Ben and I agree. And two, because Greta Gerwig did a great job with Lady Bird, her movie that came out in 2017, I thought was really, really excellent. So I already had this sense that Greta Gerwig is not some just crazy radical who gets everything wrong. Lady Bird was a very conservative movie. And so I watched it. Guys, from the very beginning, it's not even particularly ambiguous that Barbie is a conservative movie. The short version of it is, it opens up with this homage to 2001: A Space Odyssey, and it's these little girls playing with their baby dolls, and they're having a nice time. Then Barbie comes in as this icon of feminist progress, and the girls start killing their babies, which, if that doesn't sum up feminism, I don't know what does. Then they go into Barbie Land, which is a feminist utopia. And they show all the different types of Barbies, Dr. Barbie, President Barbie, this Barbie, that Barbie. Then they get to Pregnant Barbie. And the narrator comes in and says, oh yeah, that one was discontinued. We can't have pregnant Barbie here in Barbie Land. A woman can be anything, but she can't be pregnant. Already, that's two very strongly anti-feminist moments. Clearly intentional, clearly very precise. Then you go on through Barbie Land, everything's fine. It's all about Barbie. All the men are just simps. All the Kens are just kind of simp cocks who just do whatever Barbie wants, and they have no identity outside of Barbie. And then something starts to crack. Barbie becomes dissatisfied with this eternal present. Barbie starts to wonder about death. Says, wait, am I ever going to die? What's time? What's progress? What's consciousness? She becomes self-conscious. And then this guru feminist Barbie, weirdo Barbie, this is all spoiler alerts, by the way, so if you do want to watch the movie, maybe skip a few seconds here. Guru feminist Barbie comes in and says, okay, you can choose the red pill or the blue pill. You can choose either the high heels, pretty high heels, or you can choose Birkenstocks, of reality. And so Barbie says, okay, I want the pretty high heels. I want the blue pill. And this is really significant, I think. Feminist Barbie goes, oh, no, I was presenting you with the illusion of a choice, but you don't really have a choice. You have to do the gritty, awful, terrible, Birkenstock thing, which is reminiscent, I think, of Simone de Beauvoir, the French feminist, who in a debate with Betty Friedan once said, we can't give women a real choice. Yeah, we pretend that women have a choice to either stay at home or go out to the workplace, but they can't really have that choice. Because if women have the choice to stay home and live a traditional life, too many of them are going to choose family and children and husbands. So they have to basically be forced out into the workplace. And that's what you see in Barbie Land. So then Barbie goes into the real world, and Ken goes with her, and Ken says, wow, the real world is a patriarchy. Oh man, this is great. And this is where Ken joins the manosphere. Right now, go to expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show. Let me ask you something. When you use the restroom, you always close the door behind you, right? You don't want random passersby looking in on you. So why would you let people look in on you when you go online? Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like going to the restroom and not closing the door, okay? I love ExpressVPN. I'm a total Luddite, so I barely know how to use any technology, but it's so easy to use, even I can use it. You just download it, one click of a button on your cell phone, on your laptop, on your iPad, on whatever you want. I can say with full confidence ExpressVPN is the best VPN on the market. Here's why. Number one, ExpressVPN doesn't log your online activity. They even developed a trusted server technology that makes it impossible for their servers to store any data at all. Number two, speed. ExpressVPN does not slow down your user experience. You can stream HD videos with zero buffering. Number three, ExpressVPN is incredibly easy to use. It's that one button, you're done, you're good to go. If you're like me, you believe your online activity is your business, use our link, expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show today. Get 3 months free on a 1-year package. expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show, expressvpn.com/Michael Knowles Show. Barbie and Ken go into the real world, and they see that the real world is not controlled by all these feminist girl bosses. The real world is controlled by men. The people in the C-suites, in the really public positions of power, they're all men. Now, that's not the end of the story, because what one begins to notice is the people who are actually driving the narrative of this movie forward, it's not the men. The men are kind of goofy. It's these women in private little actions. A woman who's drawing a Barbie, a woman who's having thoughts about Barbie, is actually the one who's changing the world and driving the whole plot forward. And then we find out, by the end, that the woman who invented Barbie, or that the person rather who invented Barbie is a woman, this woman played by Rhea Perlman, and she has a very significant line here. When Barbie finds her and says, hey, wait, women work at this Mattel company too? Women work in this real world too? Rhea Perlman's character, this godlike creator character who built Barbie, she leans in, she says, women do more than work here. Women do more than work. Feminism tells you that a woman going out and working and having a job is the only thing that matters. It's the most important thing. The conservatives will tell you, what are you talking about? Going out and having a job, it's fine. But there's so much more important. There are so many more important things in life. Having children, having a family. Being the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. That line, very hard to see how that line is not intentional. Anyway, Ken gets radicalized. He says, wait a second. In this real world, it's the men who call the shots, not the women. So they go back, and Ken becomes this manosphere kind of guy. You know, he has the Kaza Bunga, I forget what he calls it, but it's kind of a funny name for the Ken house now. And in the Kendom, he dresses up in this really peacocking way, but he doesn't know how to be a real man. And this, I will skip over some stuff in the middle. I wish I could go on for hours about Barbie, but we don't have time for it. By the end, Ken realizes, no, Barbie, all I want is you. Even when I'm peacocking and bragging, all I really want, I just feel like I'm only built for you, and I'm just here to serve you, and I have no identity outside of you. And Barbie doesn't choose Ken. This is one of the reasons why the conservatives have been saying this is a woke movie. Because Barbie and Ken should end up together, right? No. Barbie Land is a feminist utopia. It seems, in theory, kind of nice, I guess. It's really just a fantasy for little children. But it's not. Something's deeply wrong here. Ken is a product of feminism. And so when Barbie says, hey, Ken, you've got to, before you just try to throw yourself at me and we get married or whatever, you need to figure out who you are. Because Ken is not the big alpha giga chad traditional man leading his family. He's a product of feminism. He's kind of a simp. He's kind of a cuck. He's not the kind of man that a woman actually wants to marry. So when she says, you've got to figure out who you are, this is a message for boys who are raised in this feminist world that unfortunately we live in. It's not a knock on the boys. This is how they were raised, but they've got to figure out how to be a man. Not just going along to get along with the feminist world, and not just reacting against it in some childish way that doesn't actually build them up as proper men. You've got to figure out how to be a man in the real sense of things. So then, Barbie chooses to leave. This is another example. A lot of the conservatives seem to think that Barbie Land is considered the good place and the real world is considered the bad place. Barbie Land, feminist, good. Real world, patriarchy, bad. Barbie chooses the real world. The Barbie Land is the bad place. The Barbie land, that's why there are all these jokes about patriarchy. She says the word patriarchy like a dozen times in there. That's a joke. That's a punchline. We know it's a punchline because the Rhea Perlman creator character at the end admits at the end of the movie, she says, oh yeah, people, in order to cope with the ambiguous nature of this fallen world, and in order to cope with the craziness of this world, we just make things up. We make things up like Barbie. We make things up like patriarchy. Does this mean we make things up like the actual structure of the patriarchy that controls everything, or we make things up like the concept of the patriarchy, just like the concept of Barbie? I think it's the latter. And Greta Gerwig in interviews has said everything in this movie is intended to operate on two levels. The movie has clear Christian imagery. I mean, she has admitted that herself. Greta Gerwig has said in interviews a lot of this comes from her Catholic school upbringing. Even though I don't think Greta Gerwig is a practicing Catholic, that's how she was educated. You see it throughout all of her movies. And then, to me, the part where Greta Gerwig really shows her hand is at the very end of the movie. After she admits the patriarchy, that's like a fake make-believe concept to cope with the difficulties of the world. Barbie's happy vision of the future, which is why she chooses reality, which is supposedly a patriarchy, is not being a girl boss and going to work at some widget factory. It's motherhood. It's family. Even the mother and daughter in the real world, which is a driving theme in the film, it's not even just like a single mother who's angry at the world. She's married. She's in a kind of traditional relationship, even though her husband in the real world is kind of a Ken. He's been castrated by the feminist culture as well. So there's a problem to work out there in the real world. And the things that women complain about in the real world and in Barbie land, they're complaints about what feminism has done, not about what tradition has done. We're expected to be girl bosses. We're expected to have jobs. The final scene, Barbie walks in, you think it's going to be the apotheosis of the whole feminist journey in the movie and she's going to go get her job in the real world? No. They say, what are you here for, ma'am? She goes, I'm here to see my gynecologist, which is a surface level joke about how Barbie dolls don't have genitalia. It's a deeper joke, which ties in with the entire thesis of the movie and every theme from the very first shot of the movie, which is, oh no, what really matters here? Motherhood. One of the key lines from this exasperated real world woman talking in Barbie land, she says, I want a Barbie. I don't want a Barbie that's the president. I don't want a Barbie that's a doctor. I want a Barbie that says it's okay just to be a mom. That's one of the realizations this woman has during the movie. Gerwig is great. Now, I know some people are saying, Michael, you're reading too deeply into this. First of all, Greta Gerwig literally says in interviews, hey, you should realize there is a double meaning here to the movie, as there was in Lady Bird. But I guess my other answer to that is, what do you think is more likely? That Greta Gerwig just accidentally fills all of her movies with these very precise, deeply meaningful points from beginning to end of all of her movies, or that she's doing it intentionally, or at least artistically. It's not just an accident. It's not just, oh yeah, you're reading a little too much into every single moment of her movie that's coherent. The argument against Barbie, to say it's so super woke, the best argument people can muster is, oh, it's an incoherent movie. I don't think it's incoherent. I think it's extremely coherent. I've explained a little bit of how coherent it is. What's more likely? Seems to me, also it's just a nice piece of filmmaking because it's fun and the performances are good and they're singing and dancing and it's very colorful. It's a good movie, guys. It's a good movie. Really, I don't think I'm allowed to remain a heterosexual married man with children if I talk about Barbie for even 1 second longer. But I left the movie more optimistic about the culture. There are a lot of people out here. Drew made this point last night at Backstage. There are a lot of young women who wouldn't call themselves traditionally conservative or Christian or right-wing or whatever, who are waking up and recognizing, man, feminism is really bad. People who in recent years would have called themselves left-wing, feminists, liberals, whatever, who are turning against birth control, who are turning against the hookup culture, who want to get married, who want to have children, who want to do normal things. I think this would be a sign of those times. Boy, what a great clip that was, huh? Make sure you subscribe. Ring the bell to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. See you next time.